Welcome to a new video here on the Giant Take YouTube channel. I am Josh, and this is weird because I haven't really done a YouTube video, or we haven't, but just me today for this video. We haven't really done a YouTube video in a while, so I'm really excited to get into this one. All of the clips that, or all of the videos you have seen on the channel recently, with the interviews or just like the 53-man roster, have all been clips from the Giant Take podcast, which you can happily listen to, but I'm excited to get into this YouTube video. And what I have for you today is 5 training camp battles that I'm really looking forward to heading into training camp, I guess, officially beginning and opening for fans on Wednesday, July 27th. I'm recording this in the afternoon on Monday, July 25th, just in case you see it another time. I just want to make it clear that, maybe there's some stuff that I'm missing. If there's like a cut or a signing, I'm not missing that. So, all right, with that being said, I'm excited to get into it, and I guess I feel like there was something I had to say beforehand, but if not, oh yes, hit that subscribe button below if you're not subscribed. If you are already subscribed or you're just viewing it, really appreciate you can hit that thumbs up button as well. Let's get into the video here. Starting off with number 1, these are in no particular order, just 5 that I'm into, or 5 training camp battles that I'm into looking at or watching, You get it. Running back's the first one. Saquon Barkley is obviously the number 1, but he does get injured pretty often. So backing him up is going to be Matt Breida, who the Giants signed this offseason, most recently played for the Buffalo Bills last season as a backup. So who's after that? Well, there's Gary Brightwell, who's the 6th round pick by the Giants last season. Basically just helped out on special teams. Nothing more last season, but again, he could slot in. Then after that, it's Shashawn Corbin. So Corbin coming in here, he could definitely make the team. One of the few undrafted free agents out of Florida State, but he's one of the few undrafted free agents the Giants signed that I've been seeing beat reporters or Giants news sites put them in their 53-man roster predictions. Obviously, we did ours. Again, that's on the YouTube channel, and we recorded for the podcast. If you want to listen to it there on all your podcast platforms, we did our 53-man roster pre-training camp predictions, and a lot of other people did them as well, and they had Corbin making it. We did not, but definitely a guy to look out for. And then there's Antonio Williams, who's another former Buffalo Bill, was on their practice squad the past 2 seasons. I think when there was a couple injuries, he was able to slot in for like a game or 2, and he started, but those are behind Barkley and Breida. There's one more running back that'll probably make the roster, and it's going to be interesting to see which one that is. So from going to number 1 to going to number 2, and this is a big one that we talk about. Either you'll see us here on the YouTube videos talking about it, or in the podcast or on the podcast. That's the backup wide receivers. So there's 4 guarantees, I would say. Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, and Wan'Dale Robinson are the 4 guarantees. But who's next? Who's after that? So the big one that Alex and I debate about a lot, and especially in the 53-man roster prediction, Darius Slay, the 5th round draft pick in 2019. Last season had 26 receptions for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I don't think that he will not make the roster, but I just think that there's a possibility that he won't make the roster. It's definitely possible that Darius Slayton could go into this season not on the 53-man roster, and he goes to another team. He gets cut by the Giants. What Alex is saying, my co-host on the podcast, he doesn't believe that. He just thinks there's absolutely no way the New York Giants would not do that. Darius Slayton has the best connection with Daniel Jones, and we saw that his rookie year, and I agree with those points. I think he's very valid, but the thing is, it's a possibility, and Alex needs to wake up, and he needs to realize that, which I'm glad he's not with me, so he doesn't debate me on this, but if Darius Slayton gets cut, I will not be surprised. He will, and it's going to end up driving him nuts. So Darius Slayton's one of the options, though, after the 4 guarantees. Then there's Richie James, who's the return specialist for the 49ers, and the Giants do need that. But there's also C.J. Board, who's been with the Giants practice squad since 2020, who I believe was the punt returner last year. So I guess he's a specialist. And then there's also some other guys, practice squad players for the Giants that they've had. Not Keelan Doss, but Alex Bachman, Colin Johnson, David Sills. There's some others as well, Keelan Doss, Robert Foster, and even some more. The 90-man roster is really filled up with a lot of wide receivers, cornerbacks, like the top 2 positions with a lot of depth there. But yeah, I'm excited to see the backup wide receivers. That's going to be a good training camp battle. On to number 3, starting tight end. This is an interesting one because Daniel Bellinger, who I believe was going to be the number 1, was added to the PUP list not even 48 hours after training camp began for rookies, as they come earlier than veterans. So now I really don't know what to expect. With the Giants now letting Evan Ingram going to another team during free agency, Kyle Rudolph is gone. Who's going to be the starting tight end this upcoming season? So again, Bellinger on the PUP list. So now it looks to two guys that the Giants signed this past free agency, and that's Ricky Seals-Jones, the free agent signing from, I believe most recently, the Washington Commanders, but he's also played with the Cardinals, the Browns, and the Chiefs. And then there's Jordan Akins, who his entire career was spent with the Houston Texans, becoming to the Giants. I would say the more consistent player, the guy who spent the most time in one place, and that's Jordan Akins. But this is a training camp battle, and the coaches are going to look throughout training camp and I guess the preseason games, even though I believe the preseason games means absolutely nothing, especially for these guys who are veterans. So it's more going to be in training camp, in my opinion, who will make the team, and that'll be a big deal. Will Daniel Bellinger can come off the PUP list at any time during training camp, and there's no punishment to the Giants for that. So he can come off at any time, and will he come off and be completely fine, and he'll start no matter what when he comes back from the PUP list in late or mid to late August? We'll have to wait and see. But if he does stay on the PUP list, then that means that if he stays on the PUP list and then we go into the beginning of the regular season, he'll have to miss the first 4 games. So it's a big deal. So who will be the starting tight end? We'll find out. They'll battle it out in training camp. On to number 4, starting left guard, Shane Lemieux, the 5th round pick of the 2020 draft, versus Josh Ezeudu, the 67th pick in this year's draft. I believe that was the 3rd round pick for the Giants. I think it's Ezeudu, even though Lemieux has had time starting with the Giants. He hasn't been great. There's nothing crazy good about what Shane Lemieux brings to the Giants. And, this offseason, it was one of the Giants' goals, and they did pretty successfully. New GM Joe Shane came in, and he decided that we're going to revamp this offensive line, which Giants fans have hoped for 3 to 5 years now. So we got John Feliciano. We signed Mark Lewinsky as well. Got Ezeudu in the draft. A couple other guys, I think McKeithen they also drafted. I'll get to him a little bit later. In my 5th little preview to that, my 5th training camp battle. But they also they added Ezeudu, some other backup guys, Matt Gano, right? Evan Neal, the big one, the 1st round pick for the Giants. But so they went in this offseason to try and revamp this offensive line, rebuild it, and they did that by picking Josh Ezeudu. So why do that and not why pick him in the 3rd round and not have him start in the beginning of the year? Well, I mean, you have Lemieux start, right? And then Ezeudu backs up and he learns maybe from Lemieux, who's not the biggest veteran guy. He's not like a 30-year-old Pro Bowler or something that, he can teach Ezeudu the ways of the left guard position. But, I mean, maybe having Ezeudu sit might help him. He can learn in practice. He can, I guess, watch how Lemieux does or review film. I don't know. There's disadvantages and disadvantages. If you have him start week 1, then you're really confident in Ezeudu. And if he messes up, then, I mean, that's on you. That's on the coaching staff because, I mean, it's also on Ezeudu. He's the player, but you started him compared to if you have him sit for a little bit and then he comes in games 3 or 4 after, maybe Lemieux doesn't play so well or or you think Ezeudu, is ready to play. That's when you put him in. But that's another training camp battle to look forward to. Again, I don't really think it's much of a battle. It's just more of a coaching decision at the end of the day because I think both players can prove themselves, Lemieux and Ezeudu. My pick is Ezeudu over Lemieux, but we'll have to wait and see, and that's why this is a battle here in training camp because we don't know the right answer. And number 5, the backup offensive lineman. So the Giants, they have basically 6 or 7 guys that are definite who are the starters, at the offensive line. That's Andrew Thomas, probably Matt Peart's a guarantee as well, Ezeudu and Lemieux, Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, and Evan Neal. And maybe Matt Gano too. After that point, there are a few backup guys who some of them have to make the team because they got to be the backups at specific offensive line positions. But Max Garcia, Jamil Douglas, Ben Bredesen, and Marcus McKeithen, who's going to make the team out of those 4? Like what guys are going to make the team there? So I would say that probably Marcus McKeithen has the best chance. He was the 173rd, something like that, pick this past draft for the New York Giants in 2022. And then after that, maybe it's Max Garcia because the Giants do need a backup center with Nick Gates. Questionable to even come back this season. It's amazing his story, though, being injured last year and coming back and, even fighting to continue playing football. But right now, the Giants need a backup center. So I would say the most guaranteed guy out of the list is probably Garcia, number one, maybe, because we do need a backup center behind Feliciano, and he can be that. And then after that point, if 2 out of the 4 guys make the roster, probably Marcus McKeithen over Jamil Douglas, who would probably be like a third string backup guard. And then Bredesen. Bredesen, honestly, really bad trade for the Giants. But you have to get over it at this point. But the guy has been really bad. I really hope he's not on the team next year, honestly. But yeah, recapping my 5 New York Giants training camp battles. Number 1, backup running backs. Number 2, backup wide receivers. Number 3, starting tight end. 4, starting left guard. And 5, backup offensive line. In the comments, let me know your training camp battles that you're looking forward to. Is it the same as my 5? Is there someone or is there a position that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Also, again, give a thumbs up to the video, subscribe down below, and in the description of this video, there's some other ways that you can help us out by following us on the social media. So check out the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. We're hoping to have podcasts and coverage. We're going to go to a couple training camps, hopefully go to Fan Fest. So we'll keep you covered there. And we're hoping to do daily recaps of like each day of training camp that was open or that we can get the ability of the beat reporters to report on. So we have info for you on the YouTube channel. So we're hoping to do that. Keep your fingers crossed, and I will as well. But again, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. See you next time for another video. Peace.